Talk to us about what happened that basically got you put out. What happened?
So what
What happened?
happened?
What
What
happened?
had
Are you gonna tell us what
happened
happened? Are you gonna tell
was,
me what happened?
yeah, I'll tell you what happened. So there was a, how am I gonna phrase it? I'm gonna tell you how I felt. I'm gonna tell you how I felt, and I'm gonna tell you what happened. So with the brand and everything that I had been doing, of course, we know the brand is growing. I felt like I was putting in a lot of work. I felt like I was a big part of the growth, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when a lot of arguments happened between me and An'Darrio, and I may not have expressed it to him, so I that's my fault. But when a lot of the arguments would happen between us, it would be over how he expected for things to be done as far as like production wise, or
Mm-hmm.
something that I should have checked, or something that an expectation was set on me from him of, okay, girl, we shouldn't be having these same problems. We're in season three, we shouldn't be going through the same stuff again. So, and I felt like kind of at times that was like, it would be small things, really small things that could be fixed, like say in an edit, or it can be redone. And I always kind of was getting you know, when life is happening, sometimes the delivery from our good sis is not as soft as it usually is. And so when something like, let's say I would like there was a clip that was missing for something, I would get read out because, oh, you should already know how to do this. Why isn't this in here? You've been doing this so long now, da 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 da. And so it came to a point where when I sent over some footage, the audio on the green screen was like, there was like feedback,
Mm-hmm.
right? That could have been edited out and canceled out, but there was like feedback. And so during the editing process, if you look at season three, it kind of sounded like you were in like an empty room kind of thing, and then the voice was kind of low. And so at the time, he had said that, I'm so tired of getting this shit, you know, and it had really offended me. I don't know if it was just a bad day. It had really offended me. And this was like of the day before the pre-show that we did with Imani rolling into season three, episode one. And like, I was just like, really, my feelings was really hurt about it. I was so over it. And we were having one of our usual spats. And I was like, you know what? If this is so much shit, don't air the show. Don't air the show. And matter of fact, if I keep giving you shit, this will just be, let's just make this the last season. Since you saying this is shit. And so we get on the live, and Dario is calling me, and I was like, I'm gonna say on the live that, I'm this is gonna be the last season of the show.
Oh, Reesie G.
So, and mind you, I'm infamous for a good old live now.
Girl, you would
I
go
fly off the handle for
live.
a live. And so An'Darrio was calling me, and I was like, I wasn't answering the phone, so she didn't know what was gonna happen. So we do the live. Of course, I didn't do it. And then the episode airs. Everybody's in love with the episode. I text An'Darrio and I was like, hey, I'm sorry. It's just this is going on. Episode aired. I mean, girl, you know how we just go back and forth. It is what it is. She was like, yeah, whatever, child. We'll talk about it tomorrow. So I don't know what happened between the we'll talk about it tomorrow text to the following day, but that's when he made the decision and sent the email and said, I think it's time for us to part ways. Um, I think it's time for us to part ways, and this is going to be the last season of the show. And I said, okay, nobody knows about this except for me and my team. And I said, okay, well, what about our friendship? And this is via email, and he said ended. And I said, okay. And I sent this long email about, because she had blocked me on her phone, but we used to block each other all the time, so I thought it was just another day. So she had blocked me on the phone, so I was sending the emails to this long email about, this is, girl, we do this all the time. I said, I don't really care about the show and all this stuff. We can finish that, but we're friends. Let's just you simmer down like you usually do, and then that's it. So then I'm locked out of my chasing reality email. So then I said, you know what? I don't care. I'm not going to. I'll continue to go to Filmz if we need to go to Filmz. But as far as green screens, I told my team, it was Roderick and CJ at the time. I was like, listen, if it's somebody I don't like on the show, y'all go do their green screens. If we're into it on the camera, y'all go do that. I said, I'll go do the green screens for people that I'm cool with. And if there's anything else needed, I said, as far as editing, y'all communicate with An'Darrio. I'm out of it. I'm out of it. I'll do my lives after the show to continue to promote. I'll be in the comments. However it come out is however it come out. When An'Darrio sends the proof for us to watch it back to see how it flows and everything, y'all watch it. I don't want to see it. I'll just have first reaction to everything. They were like, okay, cool. Love a good team. So the season goes on, and then none of this is public. In the back of my mind, I was just like, this is just another one of our spats. We'll come back from it. It's just another one of our spats. I know she missed me as much as I miss her, so we'll come back. Time goes on. I'm on a live, on a TTB live, and An'Darrio's in the comments, and then An'Darrio says that, because I'm just doing my job. Nobody knows anything is going on. And then he says in the comments that the show isn't coming back, it's over with and everything like that. Because somebody had told TTB or something like that that's what was happening or something. I don't know. And so then that's when it became like public that the show was not going to be anymore. And so I remember saying on the live, oh, well, that's the boss. I mean, he just said it, so it is what it is. And I could remember that night just like getting off the phone and just crying and crying and crying. I was just like in my feels. And I was like, girl, get out your feels, girl. I was just in my feelings, and I was just like, okay, I don't know what to do or whatever. But I was just in my feels because I was like, okay, so is this the end of this, of me being a producer? What am I gonna do? Am I gonna keep going? Okay, what about this friend? Like, what am I doing? Like, how am I gonna navigate this and all of this stuff? And I just, I was like, you know what? Let's just pace it. Let's just pace it, and let's see what happens. I recall, time had went past. We're like halfway through the season, and then he sends me over, contract and stuff about monetization, blah blah blah. I read through the contract, and me having my ass on my shoulders, I said, well, I read through this contract and it doesn't say that the show has ended. So either you need to include it in there, or we need to have a conversation.
Wow.
Child, he revised that contract. I said, if we're going to be done, we need to go ahead and be done. And I need to see it in the contract that the show is going to be done and over with. So he revised the contract, and then we're getting closer to the reunion. So this is where the controversy with the reunion, the whole digital thing, comes into play, right? So I had already paid the deposit for the reunion space, because the reunion space is going to be at this place called XOXO here. It's a pink venue, like it's a restaurant, but it's all pink. And at the time, my old boss was one of the investors in it. So the theme was gonna be the final pink party, because that was like a running joke, right? So then when the contract thing happened, I had somebody in my ear. I'm not gonna lie, I had somebody in my ear at the time. And I was like, I hit the guy up. I was like, hey, listen, we're probably not gonna be able to use your venue. Am I able to get my deposit back? And he was like, yeah, I get it back. I mean, it's whatever. And I had told him, I was like, yeah, we might turn back around, but right now, I really need the money. I got bills. I ain't no millionaire like you. Let me get my money back. And he was like, okay, cool. So got the money back. I was talking to Ariel, and she was just like, well, girl, I just really think you should still do the reunion. I said, well, honestly, I might not be able to afford it like that, because at the time I was living downtown. Previously, I would have to pay for Imani to come down. Like, it was a lot of money that was going to come out. Then so we were still filming some scenes during the time where the show was airing. So then I got George coming at me, And it was just like, I really want to tap you, but I can't. But then it was something that he said during a green screen that really just it got me to a point where it was like on site, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't like being like that. But he said something about my mom that I really didn't like, and it was definitely on site because I was ready to tie him up. And so we get to the reunion or whatever. Everything is going good. We're doing the little digital thing, and then what led to the me cutting it off was George was like, he asked me the question about, so why did you go along with this lady saying this rumor about money or something like that? And I was like, because I didn't see it for you because of what you said about my mom and da 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 da. And then Trey Howard had felt some type of way because this was his first reunion as a cast member. He didn't have a real reunion, and so I was like, so after he done said all this stuff about my mom, like, I'm not, that ain't it. And so I was heated. I was like, I end this shit right now. And he was like, show me how big your balls is. And I said, boop. And I ended it. Now, I regret ending it. I do. I got off the phone and because everybody was still on backstage. And I just closed my computer and I just sat there and I was so pissed.
Come on,
And
Nene
CJ was
Leaks.
I was so pissed. I was so pissed. And CJ, my producer, he was there at the house with me, and he was just like, we were just sitting there in silence, and like I had so many emotions. And I called Eric or Imani, and I don't know if people really know, like me and Eric have known each other for like almost 10 years, like we're close.
Mm-hmm.
And so I called, and he was in the car, and it's like a little shaking up. And so he called me and he was in the car and he was like, Reesie, you let the drama get the best of you. Do better. You gotta do
Mm.
better. And I just sat there and I cried, the ugly cry. And I was like, it was so, and she was like, you took an opportunity away from the cast member. You took an opportunity away from me because that Imani was gonna make the announcement that she was leaving the brand because she knew about everything that was going on with me. And she was like, well, if you leave, I don't really trust that things are going to be produced right. So I'm going to leave too. And I was like, okay, well, you don't have to leave. I think you're really important. Right? She was like, no, I think I'm good. And so she was like, you took away an opportunity from me and my announcement. You took an opportunity away from, people reconciling. You took the opportunity away from yourself with you actually being a bigger person. And so I'm just like, I'm ugly, like I'm just crying, I'm crying, I'm crying. I was like, I lost my friend over this shit, and I don't have a social life because of this, and people don't know what's going on in my life. And Imani was just wiped all the makeup off and just sitting there, and she was like, "Well, Reese, I mean, if you want to grow, you're good. This is not the first time this is gonna happen. So you're gonna need to grow up. You're gonna need to grow up. So get off the phone with me, stop crying, and figure out how you're gonna grow up. I love you." That's how we talk to each other. I love you. And I just sat there, and then CJ ended up going home, and I just cried myself to sleep at night. And I woke up the next day, and and then that's when the fanfare started of everything, and I was just like, I knew in that moment that was a very important moment for me because I had to make a change. I had to make a change because I was like, okay, well, if you are this person that you say you are, you care about the community, you're growing, you're this big entity. Everybody's talking about Reesie G. It's Reesie G this, Reesie G that. You are that girl, right? If you have so much influence, how can you let someone take you there? How you were a part of you not being there anymore. So what do? You got to make a change. And so I sat there and I think I went missing for a minute. Like I just kind of went missing for a minute and just kind of let everything kind of do what it was doing. And then I had a conversation with God one day and I was just like, okay, God, so I know I got to stand on my own. I know I got to figure this out. Like, but I'm just like, I like going live. I like doing all this. I like reading the girls and all this stuff. And he said, okay, but I told you to stand on your own too. You're going to have to start, if you want to be a person of influence and you want to make change like you have been doing in the city, You got to make a change.
Right.
And I said, okay, okay, okay. I hear you, God. I hear you, God. And God has a way. Had that conversation with God. It was Mother's Day. I was on the phone with Ariel, and my mom was on the other line. And then I was ordering my mama's stuff for Mother's Day, and I had the conversation. And then the following week, my mom passed.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, okay, okay. Now it's like, okay, you gotta figure this out.
Mm.
You have to make some changes. Like, I mean, because you have to learn how to handle things differently. You have to
Mm-hmm.
learn how to move differently. If you want to be this person that I'm gonna let you be this person, but now I want to show you how strong you are. Because like even with my mom passing, nothing was wrong. She was in remission from cancer. Everything was good. And I think that, and I say this to myself, and I don't mean to make this a heavy, I don't mean to make it heavy,
No,
but
this is
I
your
say this to
moment.
myself, I say this to myself, that Mother's Day 2022 was the first time I ever was able to buy my mom everything she wanted. The
Mm.
very first time I was ever to buy everything that she wanted. Because I didn't have the money to do it, or life or whatever, and she didn't want much. And so it was like that small moment kind of really resonated with me. And then let me show you God again in the universe. After my mom passed, I was at so much peace. I was at peace with everything. Like I didn't, and then people I didn't make it public until all the arrangements was done. Then I made the post and then the blogs and all of that stuff, and then people text me and everything. An'Darrio was one of the people that text me. And it how much a person can, and I'm speaking to you too, even if you don't know how much of an influence you may be, you will know one day by the people around you. I went to my mom's apartment. I was cleaning out her apartment, and I saw she had like boxes and boxes of canned goods that she would give out to people. Her neighbors were saddened by her passing. I had seen my grandma's brother, so my great uncle, had came to the celebration, and I was getting these random messages from people I didn't even know that she had touched. And then my aunt, my aunt that doesn't really say too much, she kind of stay on her own. During the celebration, she said to me, well, she was speaking about my mom, and she was always talking about how she never could find a lane that fit her. She was always just wanted to be a part of stuff. She always wanted to be around and help, and she never could fit a lane. And
Mm-hmm.
then she said to the kids in the room, or whatever you want to call it, she was like, pick a lane, drive in that lane until you want to switch lanes.
Mm-hmm.
And from that moment to now, my life has been totally different. I made a vow to myself. Anybody that had reached out to me that I
Mm.
had odds with, if they gave me condolences, I wiped the slate clean. I wiped the slate clean, and I made a conscious effort to, amp up my therapy. I went back to school. I got some certifications and coaching and life coaching and stuff to kind of elevate me. And then I spent the summer with my best friend to grieve. I spent 4 months to grieve because I just was like, I went right back to work. I went right back into production. I went right back to my regular job. I just started, and then my best friend was like, okay, listen, your lease is up on your current apartment downtown. You're gonna stay at my house because I'm worried about you. You're gonna stay over the summer, and that this is what you're gonna do. Mind you, I didn't know what was coming, right? So I stayed with my best friend over the summer, grieved, and I had one really bad day, and I kind of let it all out. Moved into my townhome, and then that's when I wanted to make the transition to work with another producer with Gemini Films. That didn't go well. When that didn't go well, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and just do my own thing. Everybody left me. My entire production team left me. Ariel left me. Um, and I was still trying to figure out life and figure out grieving and what this process looks like. And I was okay. I had filmed the retreat. We had did the retreat, the docu series, and I wanted to go this way and go this route. And I didn't have anybody to call. I didn't have An'Darrio to call. I didn't have. I mean, my best friend was there, but this is that's family now, so it doesn't. It's different. I didn't have people to call, and yeah, it was tough. 2023. 2022, 2023, like those 2 years, they were pretty tough,
Mm-hmm.
but I wouldn't trade them for the world only because it showed me that you have to make your intentions for yourself more pure.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that if I had more intention for myself when I was with Chasing Reality versus putting, because I go to therapy, and I had come to the realization that even when I did interviews, I always would say, "Yeah, I'm doing this show for my friend. I'm doing it for my friend. My friend won 100,000 subscribers. I'm doing this for my friend." But I was too late on the personal investment, which caused a rift. And so, if I would have at the beginning had more intention for how can I benefit from this? How can I grow from this? And versus putting myself second and putting
Mm-hmm.
An'Darrio first. Not saying that he was greedy or anything like that, not saying anything like that. It was a me thing of putting someone else before me. And I
Mm-hmm.
had done that so much throughout my life that in my adult years, I'm glad it happened the way that it happened because now I am prepared for this to come back around. I'm prepared.
Right.
I know how to deal with it now. So yeah,
Thank you so much for sharing all of that. I
I know
appreciate
it was
it.
a
And
lot.
thank you a
It was a
lot.
lot.
I
Yes.
want to ask you this.
Yes.
Since we're still operating in transparency,
Hmm.
what do you take responsibility for? Um, and a caveat to that, because I'm pretty sure there's been conversations about people saying, well, this is what Reesie G did to me, or this is what I felt like he did wrong to me. What do you take? Do you take responsibility for anything? Have you taken responsibility for anything? What do you own up to and say, yeah, I did do that, and I didn't have to do that, or yeah, I can see why somebody would be upset with me when when they learn about this or things like that. Have you had any of those conversations with yourself?
I've had even in those moments, I had those conversations with myself. But where I was misstepping is I would say, yeah, I mean, I talked about Oliver and his hat that he got on the live, and I just didn't like it. You know what? And I know it hurt his feelings. Oliver, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I won't do that again. Then here goes another time where I'm in reality TV mode, right? And I'm on a show with Oliver, and then I'm on a blog or I'm on an interview, and I'm just doing the reality TV thing, not realizing that something that I may be saying is actually tearing this person down.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was kind of like that how Gabrielle Union that clip goes around when she was tearing down the black woman across the room, and then somebody comes to her and say, well, what did you get from that? How did that help you out? Did you get the guy that whole thing? I had to realize, and this is not me being vain, but I had to understand that where I sit is higher than a lot of other people that were in my space. The expectation for me is higher because I did my job well. So people don't expect for you to get on a live and read them even though you're on the cast with them. What they
Mm-hmm.
expect you to do is just kind of let it flow, unless they're truly a villain. And because I know the reality TV game, right? I know what happens in reality TV. But then when it's grassroots and you're not getting paid and you are behind the camera as well, my reads don't hit like Heavenly. My
Mm-hmm.
reads hit like your best friend that's just, girl, why you coming at me like that?
Mm-hmm.
But I only learned that after I had to sit with loss of a lot of different people in a lot of different ways. And so now I know the strength in what happened. Hindsight is 2020. Anyone that I felt like I had wronged, I've reached out, we've had conversations, and then anybody that left me because when I needed them or whatever, I have open doors to everybody, and so they can come back. You know, we can have a conversation. I've seen many people out, like even with when Markel acquired the show, and I
Mm-hmm.
saw him out. When I would see him out, it would just be like, did you ever watch that show Smash about the
Mm-mm.
So it was a show, and it was always kind of like every time I saw him, I was just like, ugh. You know, it would just kind of hurt a little bit
Right.
because it was like, oh, this girl, she got my baby, she got my show. But
How do you feel about that? About Chasing Dallas has come back and it's no longer yours.
well, it'll always be mine because I co-created it. But you know, but I kind of looking at the show now. How do I put it? So I would say this because I felt kind of angry because it was like it was so much. It's not over yet. New producer, new this. Da, da, da,
Mm-hmm.
da, 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 da. So I was expecting this ooh la la, right? And when the ooh didn't lie to me, I was like, oh well, bitch, you still all right. Okay,
Girl,
you
what that
still good.
mean? What you saying, the Udin La?
I didn't think the ooh lied.
Ooh,
I didn't
la
think.
la 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 la. My skin is
Okay,
getting wet. My clothes are coming
clothes is
off.
coming off. Ooh. But
Are
no,
you
when
saying you weren't impressed with the revival? Is that what you're saying?
I was expecting more. I was expecting
Oh.
more. I was expecting more. That's what I said. When I say that I was expecting more because like I was really nervous to watch the first episode when it came back because I was like, I don't know what's gonna happen. I mean, are they gonna have better chemistry? Or is Markel and they're gonna have better chemistry than him, An'Darrio and me? Or, is this gonna just be boom? Or is it gonna do, all these things? And then I think I was kind of judging myself a little harsh in that moment instead of just being happy that he got an opportunity that he's wanted. So
Mm-hmm.
I am happy that he got an opportunity that he's wanted. I'm
Mm-hmm.
happy that I was a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's able to go as long as it can be
Mm-hmm.
because I had some missteps, I had some great steps, and that's just it is what it is. But to see the show continue to go on, I mean, I said it before. I said if the show does well, I look good. If the show does bad, I still look good. No joking,
Oh,
joking,
girl, you so crazy.
joking.
Let me ask you this. Girl, what happened with you and Gemini Films? Because it was like this big announcement that you guys were like the next coming of Christ. You guys were watching the throne. It was Jay-Z and Kanye West. They were gonna, and then it fizzled out. What happened?
So, I had been talking with him being Karan. I took a trip to Boston. We sat, we met, we signed a deal, we inked we agreed on some things, we shook hands on what was to come. And then, and I say this lovingly, um, when you are it was creative differences. It was honestly, truthfully creative differences and I don't think that he was ready for me to come in. I think it would have been easier if it was maybe somebody else. But when you have like this, and I'm not gloating, but when you have a Reesie G coming into your space, you start thinking about, okay, is he trying to take over? Is he doing this? Is he doing that? Because
Mm.
we had casted for the Come Up Dallas. He came down, we partied, I took him out, showed him around town. And then it was like I was saying, well, okay, what do you think about the logo? Oh, well, I don't really like that. I said, okay, what can you bring? How we gonna fix the logo, And then we just gonna go with this one because I gotta go ahead and get ready for the casting. Okay, so now let's help choose the cast. You're not available to choose the cast. Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and just pick the cast then. Me and my team, we can pick the cast. Oh, well, I don't like that person. I don't think you should use them. Oh, well, I like this person because I think they're gonna fight. And I was like, well, the show is not about. It's not about that. It's
Mm-hmm.
about this. And oh well, I mean, I just think that that's what we need. I mean, and I'm just like, okay. And then he sent the text to me and Roderick, and he was like, "Yeah, I don't think that we're gonna move forward with the come up, Dallas, the retreat or Ariel show." And I said, "Okay,"
Yeah. Why
and I
did
was
you?
like.
I'm sorry, babe. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I thought you
And
were
I was just
stopping.
like, and I was just like, oh, okay, cool. And then after that, I told my team, and then at the time, there was someone on my team that wanted to continue to do the show. They reached out to another person that does production here. That person had reached out to Karan. Karan came back to me. He was like, I thought we was gonna keep everything private. And I was like, we are. What are you talking about? And he was like, why is this person reaching out to me saying that, they want to continue to produce the come up and they know that we're not working together? And I was like, I don't know. Let me try and figure it out. So I went to the person's house that was on my team on speaker with him, and I was like, tell him what you did, because I didn't want my hands in it. And so he was like, yeah, I just really feel like we put in a lot of work with it, and I don't think that the show should stop just because you and Reesie can't work out and da 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 da. And Karan was like, well, I'm gonna make a public post about it, just saying that we're not working together. And I was like, but why would you do that? I don't think that you should do that, because it's gonna be a me thing. It's not gonna be a you thing. It's gonna be a me thing. And he was like, well, I'm gonna make the post. And I was just like, okay. And then it was another thing, another Reesie G thing. Reesie can't work with nobody. It was another thing. And so I was just like, you know what? Let me just sit back, let me just go home. And then so when that happened that day, I sat with that person, had that conversation. On my drive home, Ariel had already made her choice. I called my other producer and I was like, hey, okay, so listen, I fucked up. I think I'm gonna just go ahead and launch my own YouTube channel. I think that we can still do this. How do you feel about keeping going? Well, we followed you from, and I was like, we, yeah, me and Ariel had already talked about this. And I was like, oh, yeah, we followed you from Chasing Reality over here to Gemini Films, and now it just feels like the same thing that happened with Chase Reality is happening at Gemini Films. And I mean, do you even think about us? Do you even think about? And I was like, of course I think about everybody. I said, this is just, what has happened. Like, you've been there every single step of the way. What do you mean? I'm the one funding everything. I'm the one looking out for y'all. I'm helping you progress. What do you mean? Of course. I said, I'm eating last on everything. Yeah, well, I think I'm just gonna step away from production altogether, and I just gotta look out for me. I said, okay. So then I went home, and within 24 hours, everybody was gone. So that was that. That was that.
What happened with you and Ariel?
So there was a conversation because Ariel was torn when season 3 ended. Me and Ariel were close, right? And she wanted to do. There was a talk of a spinoff for Ariel, and she wanted me to produce it. I said, okay, yeah, I'll produce it. I love you, girl. I'll produce it. Yeah, let's do it. So that was supposed to come when Chasing Dallas went off. She was supposed to have the spinoff. And then when that happened and that ended, it was kind of like this. It put her in a rock and a hard place. So she said she had a conversation with An'Darrio about doing the spinoff. And she mentioned that she wanted me to produce it. And from what she said that he said, okay, but he can't be EP. And she was like, okay, well, I'll talk to him. So at the same time, I was talking to Karan about, hey, if I said I've been filming this show for Ariel, it's gonna be running up with Ariel O'Hara, with Barbie, with Ariel O'Hara. I've been filming this show. We've been traveling out because at the time I was managing her. We've been all over the place. We've been doing all these performances. I've been documenting everything. What do you think about doing a spinoff show for her? Oh yeah, that would eat. Let's do it. I said, okay, cool. So then we go over to Ariel called me. She was like, I really think we should do it with Chasing Reality. I really think so. And I was like, okay, well, let's sit down and talk about it. So it's me and both of my producers at the time. And I was like, I said, I know you want to do it with Chase Reality, but I don't know where me and An'Darrio are. And I don't think it's right for me to not have a conversation with him before and then just put a production over there. Like, I don't really think that's right. I just wouldn't respect, this is his business. So I can't do that until we have a conversation. I said, honestly, I don't think that we're ready yet. And she was like, "But sister, I already talked to him. He said it was he said it was good. Let's go. Let's do it." And I was like, I said, I just really don't feel right. And I said, what if I can create an opportunity for you with Gemini Films? And she was like, oh, then cool. I said, okay. Because he had recommended Markel do it and she didn't feel so comfortable. And so that's when I said, okay, we're going to continue to film it. We'll do it with Gemini. And then when that fell through, she was the first person I called. And I called her and I said, hey, Karan don't want to do it no more. He don't want to work no more because we just can't agree and stuff. So she was like, well, what that mean? I was like, well, it means there's no Ariel show. And she was just like, I just really get tired of just feeling like I'm getting fired on my day off. Like here come chasing reality, and then all of a sudden the show is getting canceled, and then now you're not over there. Then I could have had this over there, but then you don't want to work with him, and I just can't deal with this. And I was like, well, girl, I said we can talk about it. Let's talk about it. I'll come to the house. I'm not at home right now. I said okay. And then after that, she and I don't want to sound because we're good now. We're good now. We talk. But I think that for the sake of her career, she made a choice, which was fine. She made a choice. And she went back to Jason.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when the documentary came out. And she's gonna be in Chasing Dallas this go round. And so that's kind of what happened. And we didn't talk because I had to do some me stuff. So when that happened, that conversation with her happened on like say a Thursday. The following day was when everything happened when I went over to the producer's house. On my way home, I talked to the other producer. Gemini Films, they made the post. So they happened in like a 2-day span. And then I'm off work and now I got the whole weekend to deal with this and figure out what the fuck I'm gonna do.
Oh, Reesie G, girl. Oh my God. Oh.
So, it was a lot.
Everybody watching, let's all take one collective breathe in and let's breathe it all out. Okay.